Hello YouTube and welcome to yet another video. So right now I'm sitting here pondering whether or not I should solve some tactics, and yes, I found out that I had to do that. The problem is I'm gonna have a 2-game match versus John Bartholomew tonight, which is gonna take up all of my chess knowledge and resources. Like, he's my former teacher and it would have been awesome just to get in some good play. Like, if I can get a good position uh, versus John, that would be awesome. But I'm not actually a really great strategist. Like, making a really long-term plan is not my strongest suit, and also I'm not really good at openings. So what I have in my advantage is I feel like I'm pretty good at tactics and solving them, although my previous 2 videos has been a failure. Um, so I'm going to try to solve some tactics on this video to prepare for John Bartholomew's games versus me today or tonight, whether you're in America or Norway or anywhere else. Like, it depends on where you are, at what time of the day it is. But all right, let's start. So white plays rook to d6. Okay. Um, So I see that this bishop lines up to the g1 pawn, the g1 rook, sorry, and also this bishop lines up perfectly onto h2, and this rook kind of stops the king from fleeing to g1. So if I were to play bishop to e5, which is one of my candidate moves here, bishop to e5, it seems as if he moves his rook somewhere, I can simply take on h3 with a check, and after he recaptures with his pawn, only move, then I have rook to h2, which is mate. So does he have anything after bishop to e5? So if he, let's say, plays king to h2, it's really hard to see. So king h2, then maybe I could even take on g2 with my rook, and that's a double check, so he has to go to h1 with his king, and then rook to h2 is still a mate. So after bishop to e5, let's say rook to d1, the rook on g to d1, trying to get this king out. But I still have rook captures g2, or I can simply take the bishop as the rook as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we're mating him. Yeah, problem solved. Okay, that one was fun. Although I think that there might be some other alternatives for white here, like playing the rook on g to d1, for instance. Right here. All right, next one. So queen captures b5. I only have a bishop and a rook versus a queen. So this is quite dangerous for me. I have to be a bit careful where I put my pieces, and I also have to notice how to collect this queen right here. Probably, I didn't see what was on b5, but maybe it was a great piece, maybe it was a smaller piece, but anyways, I have given up my queen, apparently, to get to this position, and apparently I think this is winning, so I have to figure something out. So the first thing we could consider is rook to g6. It is a check. Also rook e3 check. I like rook g6 more because the king has to go up or down. If it goes to, let's say, e5 or d5, sorry, then rook back to g5 would actually win the queen for a rook. And after that, we would be a pawn and a bishop up. So that would turn out to be a win for us. But I don't see any good way of actually getting there, because after rook to g6, then he can play either king f5, stopping our rook from getting back here with a check, because then he can just take it. Or, yeah, anything else. But we have some alternative bishop moves here as well. So let's say bishop to e2, forcing the queen to either move or capture. If it captures, then rook to e3 check wins the queen for a bishop and a rook. So after I take back with my pawn, I would still have this pass pawn on the g file, which the black king has to respond to. And while he is doing that, I could simply just walk up here and take those two pawns. And finally, queen my own b pawn, or d pawn as well. So that might be the solution here. Bishop e2, what can he play after that? Bishop e2, let's say if queen d5, then bishop to c4, and he still loses the queen. If queen to b6, then rook to g6. So if queen b7, if queen to b7, what do I do then? That's a great question, isn't it? But bishop e2 seems so natural to me, because he cannot take, and he doesn't have a check either here or here. Yeah, I don't see a good follow-up after queen to b7 though. After queen to b7, let's say bishop to f3. Yeah, I don't see it right now. But let's say instead of bishop f3, let's say bishop c4, check. King would have to go somewhere, right? And where would it go? Maybe king to f6. Also maybe bishop e2, bishop, queen b7. Maybe I have rook to g6. Now rook g6 doesn't work, but I'm going to play this move and see what he does. Okay, so queen b8 instead. So b7 and b8 was the two moves I really did think he could do most harm in my position with, because it's really hard to just try to win that queen right now. But it is saying that he can actually hold on to the queen, or what? So if I play bishop to c4, the king has to move. It's a check. And then if I play rook to g8, then the queen would have to go to b7. Or to b6, but let's say b7. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna do that. It can't go to b6 anyways. No. Okay. Ah, rook there first. Okay. I think that's it. So going here first. Yeah. And now, I thought bishop f3 would be good, but probably not. Yeah, bishop f3. Again, maybe not, because he has queen to b5. So after queen b5, what can I do then? Okay, no. All right. Huh. Really interesting though. Like, should I give this check? No. Now I don't know. I do not know. G4. Okay, let's just look at the solution here. Ah, bishop a6. Yeah, of course, because bishop a6 actually stops the queen from getting anywhere. If the queen goes here or takes, then we have this check, of course, which we did. If the queen goes down here, then we just take it, and if the queen goes, let's say, to e4, we can check and win the queen, and if it goes to d5 with a check, we can play bishop to c4 check, which ends up in a check or him taking the bishop on c4. All right, so that was fun. And yeah, there's a purpose to bishop a6. Like bishop f3 was my main move. The reason for that it was because I want the queen out of there, but I found that the queen could come to b5, and this bishop a6 move stops the queen from getting to b5. And that's really what it's all about. Okay, queen to c6, threatening a mate. Very interesting. So I should probably take on f7 with my queen here. After rook takes, I have rook here check. And if it goes in the corner, I can simply take the rook. So let's do that. And problem solved. Okay, that one was fairly easy, yeah. Queen to g3, all right. Queen to g3. So probably I'm looking for a stalemate here. So if I go rook to e3 check first, then the king could capture. Then I have this escape square on c2, so that's not what I want. But let's say the rook goes here to d8 first. The king can't go upwards, so it has to go to either e3 or c3. And now I can give this check on d3. If the queen captures, I simply have queen to h3. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And I'm pretty certain that I've actually done this before. Actually, yeah, I have to play rook h3 first, because if he takes with the queen, and then I play rook h3, then the queen captures h3. I have this escape square on e2, so I'm going to do this first, and then go here. So either if it takes with the queen or the king, I'm still getting stalemated. All right. So that one too was fairly easy, but I think I had this puzzle before actually, maybe in the previous video, if I remember correctly. But okay, so I have this fork here, bishop captures d5, which wins the rook here in the corner on a8. But does black have something nasty for me as well? So should I take on d5 and win that rook? Or is there something more to it than that? I could also take with... No, I can't do that because of this knight. So I should probably take the knight first. And he can't take my bishop because then I take his queen and after takes and takes with check. Yeah, I really like that move. Bishop captures f4. Then capturing on d5. Okay, so he goes there instead. Then I can play bishop to g5 maybe. I could even take here, but then it would end in him capturing on f4. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. Yeah, problem solved. All right, next one. Bishop to e5. His rook is pinned by my bishop here. And his knight is pinned by my queen. So if I can manage to pressurize this d5 rook even more, let's say rook to d1, then I might have some chances in this particular game. And notice that if he plays rook to c8, he doesn't have a back rank mate due to the fact that I have a bishop here as well. So if I then would have taken here with my bishop, and if I were to capture with my rook, of course, queen to c1 will just be a mate. After bishop captures, rook captures, bishop d1, rook captures d1. I would have had queen takes d1 then. Yeah, alright. So it doesn't really matter anyways. No, I wouldn't have bishop captures d1. The bishop isn't there. Bishop d1. But yeah, I would get mated. But I could also take on e5 after. So if I take on d5 first, queen captures, knight captures. Now that ain't working because the rook holds on to the e5 bishop. Okay. But if I play rook to d1, what can he do? I'm not entirely sure that he can do much there. He can move his king, and yeah, that looks like a good move. No, alright. And that was rated 1696, okay. Retry then. No, okay. So, okay, just taking. Problem solved. Okay, I was too optimistic for that one, apparently. So I'm lowering the passing rate on that one. I think I can take that, and after queen captures, bishop back to g7. Yeah. Wow, really? Really? What am I missing? Why is that much better? I don't understand. Because I keep the pressure here? Yeah, after bishop g7, knight h5 probably. I would have to play queen to e5. And there's a lot of pressure on g7 and f7. Alright, next one. So I'm doing pretty well. That's ironic, actually. But okay. So can I take on b4? Should I move my queen? I mean, I could play queen to a2. And I could also maybe take on b2. But that would lose my queen. And after I take on c1, he would take back. Yeah. I'm just going to go here. And take that rook. Alright, problem solved. Knight to e5. So he reinforces the f7 pawn. And also attacks my bishop. But can I play knight captures f7? If knight captures f7... No, I can't do that. I was thinking after knight captures f7, knight captures f7, then queen to g6. After queen f8, protecting that bishop. I had bishop captures a8, but he can simply move his knight, and the rook protects the g7 square. So that's not possible. Queen h7 might be an alternative. Queen h7 check, king to f8. I could play knight to e6, check, rook captures e6, queen captures g7, check, king to e7. But I don't see the mate. Queen h7, king f8. What about queen captures g7 there? King captures g7, knight to e6 check. The king has to go to either h8, h7, or h6. And rook h3 check. If king h6 and king g5. King g5 isn't possible. Alright, so king g6. What if he plays king h7, rook h3 check, king g8? And he can even block with his knight on g6. If I move my rook back to g3 then. Okay, I think I see it. Queen h7 check, king f8, queen to h8 check. The bishop has to capture, then knight to h7 is mate. Yeah, problem solved. Okay. That one was actually easy to easy to notice once you noticed it, but it was really hard to find. It took some time for me to actually see that. But alright, next. Knight to e5. So I could have taken f6 with a check, so either pawn must take and then play queen captures b7. I could also play bishop to b5, but then this knight here can go to d7, so that's not what I want. So knight captures f6. If pawn on e captures f6, bishop b5, king e7, bishop to c5 check, king e6. Takes, check. The knight could go in between, even there though. Takes on b7. It might be just really easy to see, but I don't spot it. Knight captures f6, g captures f6, or e captures f6. Either one. Bishop b5, check. Knight to d7. And rook to d1 maybe. So captures, check. Knight to d7, rook to d1. That seems good. So after bishop to b5, he has to play king to e7. And bishop c5, check. Then he can capture with his knight, can't he? Okay. No, but then the knight is on e5. Alright, yeah. So check, king goes up here. And maybe I just have queen to h3. Then if f5. Or maybe even queen to b3. And king to f5. Oh my god. Yeah, it seems so good. I'm gonna do it. And he takes with the G pawn, so he doesn't actually have king to E7 either. All right. Let's go for the next one. King to G6. I would very much like to play, like from the top of my head, I would want to play F5 because it frees up my queen to get into this position. So F5, if the pawn captures, then I don't know what to do. But if the king captures at least, then it's queen F4 check, king back to G6. And queen G4 check, king F7. Yeah, no, probably not good. But F5 seems like the first move I should consider because it frees up this queen coming in to attack the king. I could play B4 here, trying to get at that knight, and after the knight moves, let's say to E4, I can take it, pawn captures back, and then queen captures E4, check, king goes back to F7, then I've won a pawn at least, but the pawn on B4 might be vulnerable. And C2 looks scary then. I don't ever have a pawn break with C3 or C4. Now you just queen to D1. Queen D1, king F7, queen H5 check. If G6, then queen H7 check. King goes down to F8 or E8. If king E8, then I have nothing really. So queen D1, king F7. That is frustrating that he has king F7. I don't see anything else in this position. I really don't. Queen E1, king F7, queen H5 check. G6. Queen H7, king E8. Queen captures G6. And then I have rook to H7 if the king moves to D7. And if it goes to D8, then I have rook H8 check first. And then if knight to E8, what do I do then? Okay, so queen D1, king F7, queen H5 check, G6, queen H7 check, king E8, queen G8 check. Yeah, no. Queen D1, king F7, queen H5 check, G6, queen H7, king E8, queen captures G6 check, king D8. What about just rook H7 there? Alright, I'm gonna go for it. Okay, problem solved. Cool. Although it could have gone a bit further. But okay, let's go. e4 here. I have queen to e3 check, and after the king moves or rook up, I have rook to c3. But it doesn't seem as that leads to much. Or does it? So queen e3 check, rook f2, rook c3. Yeah, knight captures. That's just terrible. Oh my god, I'm gonna lose this match so bad. I also just have queen to d5 maybe. That threatens mate, and if the rook tries to guard on g2 by playing to f2, then I have queen to h1 mate. And if the king goes to f2, I have queen to g2 mate. That looks promising actually, very promising. Yeah, okay, problem solved. So I was looking at this check, trying to win this bishop after rook to c3, and maybe looking at queen captures g3. But it did not seem to work at all. So queen to d5 is the easiest one. Yeah. So knight captures d4. Interesting. So I can take on f7 with check, king captures f7, knight captures e5, and wherever the king steps, I can take on d4 later. It looks good. And it looks much better than knight captures e5 or knight captures d4. If knight captures d5, then simply knight to e6 seems to hold everything together. I'm going to do that. Okay, so he goes there instead. Aha. I think I can play knight takes e5 anyways here though. And then the knight has to move, and then I have knight to g6 check. Yeah, let's do it. Problem solved. Alright. Knight captures on e1, and I'm supposed to win this. So if I move my pawn to d6, the knight goes here or here. D7, knight can come here to e5, and if I if I queen immediately, then knight to f7 just gives this fork between my king and queen. So if I play d6, knight d3, d7, knight e5. Yeah, and it threatens that pawn as well if I move my bishop to b3. So d6, knight d3, d7, knight to d5. But what if I play d6, knight d3, bishop to e8 check first? I'm going to do that. I think I've had this puzzle before as well, actually. And now he threatens something else, doesn't he? He threatens a stalemate, so I have to make a rook. Because if I make a queen, then I can play knight to f7 check. And if I don't take it, then I'll lose my queen. And if I take it, then it's just a stalemate. Alright, so rook here. Alright, problem solved. So yeah, probably the puzzle trainer actually tries to give me the puzzles that I've failed at before. Because I'm noticing that I'm getting several puzzles that I've done in the past. I think I've done them on these videos. Queen to e4, okay. If would be nice to just capture on h3 with a queen. That is too easy. I could go with rook f1 check. After the rook captures, I have knight to f2 check, rook captures f2, and then queen captures on e4. Or if the rook doesn't capture, then I have knight or queen captures on e4. But is a knight and a queen better than two minor pieces and a rook? Probably the answer is yes. But could I take on e2, for instance? Queen captures e2 and then queen to g3. No, we can simply take on g4 then. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this, winning that queen. Alright, problem solved. So he has a bishop and a rook versus my queen, but he has to coordinate them very well to actually get some advantage in this position. His pawns are loose, although mine are too, but his pieces too stands somewhat odd in this position. So let's continue. King to f8, okay. So I'm thinking just rook e1 here. Rook e1 seems like a good move. You should just get he should be mated after that. I don't see anything else. Let's go for it. Rook e1. Problem solved. Okay, next one. Queen captures h2. f5 really looks good because the king has to capture, then queen captures f3, king to e6, and then queen to f6 check, king d7. So queen e7 after that isn't mate because king c8 parries everything with the bishop onto d8. Interesting. But f5 seems like the only move. f5, king captures f5, queen captures f3 check, king to e6. What about queen to g4? That seems like a mate, actually. Probably not. He can capture on d6. So f5, king captures f5, queen captures f3 check, king e6, queen to g4 check, king captures d6. Then queen g6 check, king c5. I don't see the mate. f5, king captures f5, queen captures f3 check, king to e6. Queen f6 check, king to d7. Queen e7 check, king c8. If queen to e8, king captures b7. There's not much else to do in this position, is it? I could play queen to b1 maybe. Queen b1, rook c3, queen e1, rook to e2. And then queen captures g3. Even though it looks promising, it isn't decisive. Like, I have this passed h pawn, but that's pretty much it. And my d6 pawn will fall. Well, he could capture, I capture with my queen, and bishop captures. And if he plays something like bishop to c7, trying to take that d6 pawn, I could take on d4. But that seems too much. I'm gonna go with f5, see where that leads me. Ah, that's so funny. I didn't even consider queen to f7, but queen f7 seems like a really good move. So if queen f7, king captures d6, then queen to e7, checkmate. Okay, that is just horrible by me. Why I didn't see that before is just beyond my imagination. Next one, rook to d8. All right. So the first thing I'm considering is rook to f1 check, king h2, queen. Well, I can't really do that, can I? I could play g3 first. Now if the queen captures on g3, then rook to f1 check, king f2, king h2 I mean, sorry, and then queen to h5 check, queen to h3. But it simply is not enough. So after queen h3, maybe queen to e5 check. And the queen can't go to g3 then, because then I have rook to h1 check. Winning the queen. So after queen e5 check, where does the king go? Well, if g3, I have queen to b2 check, queen g2, and then rook f2. Alright, I'm going to do that, g3. Okay, problem solved. But after queen to h3, I think queen to e5 is just winning. Yeah, okay. Let's continue. King to h4. Now, this is a nice position. So I could play bishop to b4 here. That's my first instinct, to actually get to the e1 square. I'm trying to mate him. And after bishop to b4, he can't simply take on d5, giving away his rook for a bishop, because my other bishop will just be too strong. And although he could manage to trade off one pawn, I don't think he would get to trade two pawns. If he plays g5, I can play h5 myself anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal. But bishop b4, where does he place rook? Bishop to b4. Let's say rook to a1. Then maybe I have king f4. And if rook to e4 check, then I have bishop to e4. You also have rook a3 though, guarding from that mate. Maybe I can also just play king f4 right away. So if king f4, if he captures the bishop on d5, I can play bishop to e7 check, rook to g5, bishop captures g5 is mate. And if he goes, let's say, to a7 to guard from the check on e7, then I have bishop to c5. Yeah, it looks really good. That just looks really good. So he takes, all right. Let's go here then. Problem solved. Okay. So there's a lot of nuances in that position, but I don't think there's really much about it other than seeing that you have a mate, really. Next one. King to h8. Okay. Wouldn't it be lovely to just capture on g6 with my queen? Queen captures g6, threatening mate on g8. What can he actually do to stop that? Nothing, I assume, because if this bishop moves out of this diagonal right here, then queen to g7 is also a mate. So if the bishop moves to guard the g8 square, that is. But what if queen captures g6, bishop to h6? I could simply take it. Or I could also play queen captures e8. No, that's not possible. I'm sorry, but I'm going to do that anyways. So he gives a check. Okay. So should I take with my rook, or should I just move my king away? Probably I should take with my rook, because if it goes rook from a to e2 check after that, my king has to step one more square up, because I can't really capture on e2 with my knight because I'm trying to deliver mate. So I'm going to take. Alright, problem solved. Okay. This is going to be the last puzzle. Bishop to d4. I really just want to play bishop to e4 here. Threatening mate on h1. So that if queen captures g4, I have rook h1 mate. But after bishop to e4, what can he do to stop that? I mean, basically nothing. If he plays g3, then I have queen captures g3. And yeah, this is just too much. Okay, I'm going to take that queen. Okay, problem solved. So this has been a fun experience, and I feel excited about tonight, the match versus John Bartholomew. It's going to be awesome to try to play my best possible chess. Maybe this is my strongest opponent in a rapid game ever, probably. So yeah, I'm gonna try my best and kick some butt. Try at least. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and check out my Twitch channel. Also, please leave a comment if you like this video and if you enjoy solving these puzzles with me. Thank you guys so much. Bye.